Mm, Emma, how did you feel before you started working with me?
Before I started working with you, we'd been told we had a couple of pregnancy-related medical conditions. So to be honest, before that I was feeling quite positive about birth, but then once I started learning a bit more about my conditions and the fact that I'm likely to have an induction, I felt like the control was kind of being taken away from me a little bit, and I just felt less confident in my ability to sort of make my own preferences.
And how did you find the workshop itself?
We absolutely loved it. I think it was so sensible. I know that's a strange word to say, but it was practical, it was easy advice to follow, it was really informative, and it had such a focus on what we can do, how we can almost use tips and tools and techniques and positions to really help us make not a plan but preferences that would really suit us.
And what about your partner? How did he feel after the
loved
workshop?
He really loved it because he's a bit of a typical man. He kind of likes to understand how things work, what's going on behind the scenes, and I don't think he expected to learn quite so much. So the parts about learning about the physiology of my body and birth and what can you do to make it easier and how can you stand, how can he help me, I think he found so tangible that he really is now feeling really confident about how he can be with me and for me in that room. So yeah, he was really, really impressed.
How did it compare with your NCT class?
I think it's totally different, to be quite honest. NCT is very broad. Frankly, it's about meeting people as well. But it covers everything in a little bit of a kind of top line fashion. So pain relief there was a little bit about birth positions, but it was more about the hospital, how do you bath the baby, what's the baby going to be like, what are your days going to be like, which was great, but it wasn't very specific and detailed about your birth plan or preferences or how the day might actually be. So I found your workshops were so detailed and in depth about that I felt incredibly confident afterwards that actually whatever faces us, we'll be able to cope with it and almost, I won't say enjoy it, but have a plan to kind of get through it at least.
What was the one thing that really stuck in your mind most about the day?
Can I choose two?
Yes.
Okay. I think the two things that I'll probably take away and really helped. The first was the detail about the physiology and the hormones and actually really understanding in a simple way how my body's going to work when it goes into labour, what's going to happen, how my pelvis will be, how my hormones will interact with each other to help, bring the baby into the world, and actually therefore what I can do to help when all those stages are happening. So I thought that was really, really helpful. The second thing that I think I'll really remember is just the reams of practical advice. So, I've lists now of exactly how I can stand, exactly how I might be able to be when I'm giving birth, and I feel like I can practice all these things, and I probably wouldn't have been able to get there without the session.
Would you recommend the workshop?
I definitely recommend the workshop to anyone who wants to understand a bit more about what their body's going to go through and also how they and their birth partner can really understand and develop preferences that are going to suit them. It's so full of practical advice, and I don't think anybody would be disappointed.